So I am here now with Jan Traum, who has agreed to go through my interview process. So thank you very much for that, Jan. And I'm basically asking everybody pretty much the same questions. And sometimes we go this way or that way, but we'll just go whichever way it works for you. So my first question is, can you tell me about your religious upbringing?
My mother joined the church when she was about 15. Her father was an elder in the church, and she was baptized then. And then she married my father when she was 17 and a half, and we moved to Peru, Nebraska, and then there wasn't a church there or anywhere close. So they didn't go to church. And then we moved, after I was a year old, we moved to Freeport, Illinois. And then when I was 5, my mom and dad got a divorce. And that kind of affected her standing in the church at that time because divorce was looked down upon. So
Mhm.
we didn't go to church then either. And when I was a little bitty kid, I would go stay with people different times and we'd go to church there. And I learned a lot of the church school songs. And I think that kind of gave me a background to knowing that Jesus was there because I've always felt he's been in my life.
Okay.
And then mom would talk about the church to me, and I really believed that it was a true meaning for me.
Mhm.
And so when I was 15, we had a missionary come to our house, Vivian Sorensen from Australia. And he had come with some other people, and they were doing cottage meetings in Savannah, Illinois. And of course, that's about 70 miles from where I lived. And my mom and dad weren't home, but I had said something to the effect that I believed in the church and I would like to be baptized. So, of course, he grabbed right onto that and made arrangements then with some people that I could come and stay at their house for the week while he was doing the cottage meetings and telling about his life and as a missionary. And so at the end of that week, I was baptized without my folks being there. Mom had approved of it, but uh, I was the only one out of my family that was there and was confirmed that same day. But then I didn't get back to church very often because it was so far, and my dad would take me once in a while, but I didn't get there probably over once a year or so. And then when I met Charles, why we got married in a little church in Nora, which was a non-denominational church. And then when we had David, I wanted him to be blessed. So by that time, we found out there was a church in Rockford, and we went and had David blessed. And then Diane come along, and we had her blessed. That was only 13 months later. And then when the kids were old enough, 4 and 5 years old, to go to church, they went to a little church Sunday school in Davis. But then we went to different programs, and they started teaching things that I didn't want my kids to think was absolutely necessary. And
Mhm.
so I talked to Charles, and by this time I'd learned how to drive. And so he took me to church and showed me how to go so I could take myself. And then Darren was the baby by then, so we had four kids, and we'd had them all blessed. And Darren was about a year about that time, so uh, we started attending down there, and the kids were baptized, Dave and Diane. And kind of just, I started teaching Sunday school and different things and pray every Sunday that it would rain because then Chuck couldn't work and he'd come to church with me.
That's why it's so wet that year.
Yeah, Charles says that's why it was so wet that year. And so that was my beginnings into the church.
And so your first introduction was really your mother, but
Yes,
then it was a few years, and then finally the missionary from Australia.
yes. When I was 15, I was baptized.
Okay. And your parents said it was okay for you to go stay with this family they'd never met, so you
Oh,
could have
sure.
attend cottage meetings. Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, so really you answered both of my first two questions pretty quickly, but you said that your parents divorced, but then you talked about your dad. So your mother must have remarried.
Well, yeah, my stepdad, but my real dad, my blood dad, would take me to church.
Oh, okay. And he
Yeah, I'd
was a
call him up.
member,
I'd call him. No, no, he never belonged to the church,
but he
but he
would
would
pick
come
you
and
up.
yeah,
Well, Jan, you had a real spark within you that not many people have, especially not teenagers. But that's amazing. And that
yeah,
explains when Charles was saying that on your very first date, you and his niece are talking about church.
yeah.
And that's when he first heard about it. So um, obviously, God planted something inside you to be sharing. So you've been a missionary on your own, I would say. Um, so do you have a testimony or two that's special for you that you would like to share?
Well, I think the biggest one was probably when Darren passed away, and all the people uh, come from Madison and stuff that morning, and Murray come right down, and
Can you
just
tell us the
everybody was there.
story? Go ahead and
Da-
tell us that story.
Darren passed away on a Sunday morning.
And he
Uh,
was your third son?
yeah, our third son, fourth child,
Okay.
and he was 33 years old, still living at home. And he was to preach that morning at church,
Oh, I
and they
didn't
were
know
having a
that.
baby blessing at church, and so we were getting ready to go. And I said, "Well, we better make sure Darren's up so that he makes it to church on time." And I'd called him a couple of times, and he didn't answer. And I sent Charles up, and then Charles found him that he was gone. He'd had a grand mal seizure during the night,
Mm.
and so that was like probably around 8 o'clock in the morning. And by 9:30, Murray was down here. Um,
From
Brad,
Madison.
yeah, Brad Peel from Rockford took over the sermon. And then it wasn't long, and we had all kinds of people here just to support us. And I really felt the Spirit of God during that time, which was something that helped me get through it. Uh, Dale Duke did this from
Soldiers
Soldiers
Grove.
Grove, did the sermon or the service. And we had children, teenagers and children, and all those that he had gone to camps with come. We had the funeral home was packed with young people, which was surprising, for someone. And everybody in Pecatonica couldn't believe that he had that many people. There was friends, and that there was that many people for a young man's service. So, and
I think a
it was
parent, especially losing a child that young, has to get through it with God. That can
right.
only be the way to do it, I think. Can't
If it
imagine.
would have been it wouldn't have been for our church family, I don't think we'd either one of us made it.
Mm, wow. Is there anything else that another time that blessing or anything special that you,
I never had any visual or uh, audio sounds or voices or anything. I just always had the deep feeling that Jesus was with me. And when I had my car accident, a man come around the corner and he cut off the side of my car, and I fell out of the car, and I was drug under the car for about 50 to 75 feet or so.
Oh, good grief.
And while I was bouncing across the ground, I started to pray the Lord's Prayer. And by the time I started that, the car stopped. So
Wow.
I think the angels was carrying me underneath the car because I was not hurt very much. A bad case of road rash and a few little cuts and bruises. And the worst bruise was where the seatbelt was, it tightened up across my chest. But actually, I didn't think I was hurt that bad, but they called the helicopter because I said my chest hurt, and I think they thought I was having a heart attack. But I got to ride in a helicopter.
Oh, and so do you remember what year that was?
Yeah. When was that?
Huh?
When did I have my car accident? Oh,
Well-
2000. July
Wow.
13th of 2000.
Wow.
Darren died July 8th of 2001.
Wow. You had, well, obviously, Jesus was with you and still is. And as I say, I'm just amazed as a young person, as a child, a teenager, to be so insistent about getting to church, and how wonderful that people took you, that you were able to go.
Right.
And obviously it's been important in your adult life as well, as your children are, church is important to them as well. So what do you think is important for the church to do now? Community of Christ, what should we be doing? Or what should the church in general be doing?
Well, I think that one of the things that's helped me a lot is the Zooming, the Wednesday night Zoom
Mm-hmm.
and the Zoom at church, because our churches are so small that we can reach out to people that wouldn't know it otherwise. Like Wendy and some of the other ones that wouldn't be able to attend church because of where they're at, and there's no church
Right.
there. So I think the Zoom has helped a lot with the church.
I know there's some people that just don't feel like it's very much a church if you're watching it on TV or a computer screen or something, but I think you're right. I think we have learned through our coalition Zoom that we're family, and it's a spiritual community that comes together, whether we're on a screen or in person. And
I know
it's
there's
certainly
many
been a
times,
blessing for me to meet and get to know people better.
right? And I have felt the Spirit so many times when we've done some kind of a blessing.
Oh, yes. Yes, even
Oh,
on Zoom.
even on Zoom.
So is there, other than Zoom, how can we share the gospel?
Just tell our
Should we be
story.
doing?
Just tell our story.
Testimonies.
And that's one of the reasons that I am doing these interviews, because I've heard little bits and pieces, snippets of stories, and I wanted to hear more. And I think that these will be important for other people to hear. And hopefully, once we get it figured out, our landing spot, I think we're going with the Mission Center YouTube channel is where we will be putting all of these. And there's still a little bit of technology to get figured out before we do it. But I'm hoping people will go to these stories that people are sharing. I think it's important to know the background, so I ask about childhood, ask about the testimonies. That's what people want to hear.
Mhm.
And I fully agree with you. Share the stories. So, who would you say is the most influential church person in your life?
But there's been so many of them that it's hard to pick one. But I really think that Murray has been a great inspiration to me.
Oh,
Murray
good.
Valentine.
Okay.
We can get together and we can voice our different opinions, and then we come out to a mutual agreement. So
Yeah,
that's
that's wonderful.
Johnny Longsdorf was another one.
Yes. I
Stacy
wish I
Cram.
could have had his story.
Right. I wished I would have too. Stacy Cram, different times I'd met her at Mission Center doings and
Okay.
things.
Yes.
So there's several that really means a lot to me. Plus you guys.
Our coalition group.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you think question I haven't asked, or something that we should know about you, that you want other people, maybe somebody who doesn't know you very well or at all, to know?
Well, just that I love Jesus and God, and we've raised a good family.
I can agree with that.
And just that I would like to be known as somebody that brought others to church.
Well, you certainly have, and I'll tell you, between you and Charles and the family that you've raised and the testimonies and the lives that you have lived, um, are loud testimonies as well. And I have been blessed by both of you. So thank you. And I hope that others who see these recordings come away with the same feeling. They just, yeah, I should send them down to have a piece of pie with you.
That would be good.
Next time we're together, banana cream pie,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, for Chuck.
Yes, for sure. I am going to stop our recording now, but don't go far. Thank you, Jan.